and welcome to my Oathbringer review. My name is Chase, this is Fantasy Talk, and if you're new to the channel, I review sci-fi fantasy books, although I've not done any sci-fi yet, so I probably don't deserve to say that. If you want to get more of this kind of content where I talk about books and other things, but mostly just books, I can't even say other things yet, God. You can hit that little subscribe button, and then it'll notify you whenever I make a new video, and if you like this video when you get done watching it, hit that like button so more people can see it. So my first time reading this, it was my least favorite of the three, but not by much. And I actually attribute that mostly to burnout because I read them all back to back to back. I was still very new to reading or to getting back into reading, so reading a big chunky series like this was a little overwhelming, a little intimidating. So this will be a spoiler review of this book. However, I will not be spoiling anything from Oathbringer. So if you've read this book and have not read Oathbringer, you can feel safe continuing. Although, go read Oathbringer. I'm going to jump right into just a couple small things that I could see being perceived as criticisms. They don't personally bother me. I really love this my second time through. It's now my favorite Stormlight book. But I do want to just kind of address these first before I start just talking about what I liked. I can see where it is a little slow through the middle, and I can see where it's a little more fractured than the first two books. The first two feel much more of like a clean arc and narrative, whereas this feels kind of chopped up. So the first 2 to 3 parts feel just very kind of disjointed or a little slower, I guess you could say. But I really enjoyed it this time, really focusing in on the characters. Each chapter, especially in part 2 with all the Bridge 4 stuff, I really love that stuff so much more this time around. It was so cool just getting to see more of their lives and their characters. And it was all very cathartic. Each chapter just drew this little bit of emotion out of you and then reconciled it. I don't know, they're just like little gems. I just love them. So the reason why I now think that this is, well, it is my favorite, but the reason why I think this is the best, just in my opinion, I understand if you like one or the other better, is because of the character stuff in this book. I think it has the best balance between the main characters or even, minor main characters. I thought that Kaladin stuff in this book was not as good as the first two, but it was still really solid. I thought Shallan stuff in this book is the best. I think it's better than her stuff in Words of Radiance. Definitely better than Way of Kings. And then obviously Dalinar is like the haymaker punch of all the flashback stuff. His is the best flashback stuff of the first 3 books. And it's not even close. Then just layer on top of that, we get Navani POVs, which are amazing. We get Jasnah POVs, which are amazing. Renarin has some nice stuff going on. Szeth has a lot of good stuff going on. I mean, it's so balanced. It's so good. Do want to talk about just what I think was a big theme in this book was about responsibility. And with each main character between Kaladin, Dalinar, and Shallan, and even Adolin, really, it was a little different how Sanderson approached it. So with Kaladin, really for him, it's about not feeling responsibility for every bad thing that happens either to him or to someone that he is trying to protect, and about trying to let go of these feelings that he has that it's his fault for everything that goes wrong. I had a realization while reading this that Kaladin is not bad at protecting people. Kaladin is bad about putting too much on himself, putting too much on his plate, to where no one person could possibly live up to the standards that he's imposing on himself. So of course he's going to be bad at protecting people in his mind, because if he says that I have to protect that person, it's not realistic for him to do that, and then it doesn't work, and then he puts all that blame on himself. So Kaladin is great at protecting people. He's saved so many lives, Dalinar a million times. Obviously Bridge 4, the whole first book, Way of Kings. For Kaladin, it's about letting go of some of that responsibility. Not all of it, but some of it. That way he can function, because he can't protect all these people if every time one of them dies, he just goes into mope mode. And I get that Kaladin is obviously dealing with extremely serious mental health issues, right? And so it's not something where you can just say, Kaladin, stop feeling that way. But that's what he's trying to learn and go through. And I think that's what the 4th ideal is. I haven't done any research. I don't know anything, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like that's what the words are. It's basically I will not take responsibility for every bad thing that happens or something like that. So with Shallan, it's a little different, right? Because Shallan has spoken these truths. She's accepted the fact she can no longer hide from the truth that she killed her father, she killed her mother. Although she was justified in doing them, she still has that pain. And so for her, it's about not thinking that she deserves this pain. That's what Wit tells her in Kholinar. What I really like about all this stuff, the character too, is not just oh, okay, and I'm better now. doesn't work like that. That's not how real life is. I'm glad that Sanderson doesn't just have Wit come talk to her and say, hey, this is how you should feel. And she says, oh, I didn't know. And then she flips. So she basically has a conversation and she's like, no, I can't do it. Later on, she does find some peace, especially with her 3 personas, that she is able to kind of get them all on the same page for the most part. And Adolin really helps her with that by accepting her as she is and not trying to basically just say she's crazy for doing this. And he even interacts with each of the personas differently, which Adolin is just such a gem. I love Adolin so much. He's who I want to be. I want to be Adolin. Can I get some dye and do my hair blonde and black? Would that look good? Would that make me more like him? So anyway, so Shallan ends up, she hasn't really reconciled her stuff yet, but that's kind of the progress that she's on. I really loved everything with Shallan. I liked when Jasnah wasn't there, where she's kind of spreading her wings. Veil starts really taking off. She makes a lot of blunders. In Uruthira, they're kind of funny. In Kholinar, they're very serious, and she gets a lot of people killed. And so, just the imagery too. My God, whatever she's doing, she got her arms out in the middle of a city square, and her face is just flipping to all these different people. I mean, that stuff is haunting and chilling. I just love Shallan's character so much. I don't like Shallan all the time. At one point, she compared refugees cleaning up the streets after a high storm to Kremlings looking for scavenge, which was tough look for my girl Shallan. But you can't deny that there's so much just really fascinating stuff going on with her character. And then let's get to the Mac Daddy, Dalinar. So Dalinar, now the first time through, I appreciated everything with Dalinar, so I didn't really get a whole lot more revelation about Dalinar's character, but it just reinforced just how rich his character is. I mean, he is basically the villain of so many of fantasy books that we have read, right? I mean, you can just plug him in. Bloodthirsty warlord that, he's killing his own men because he's just so enthralled in the battle that he doesn't see friend and foe. He's just wiping them all out. It's like the Bloody Nine from First Law. He's just fucking killing people. And if he's not killing, he's drinking. And if he's not drinking, he wants to be killing. He's just a bloodthirsty monster. Obviously get to the point where he kills Evie, and that destroys him. And just going through, with Dalinar, it's about taking responsibility. Full on, it is about accepting that you did something, not shying away from it, and then just saying hey, I did those things. I'm not going to hide them behind alcohol or any kind of other substance, fire moss or whatever they're doing. I'm going to accept that that is who I was, right? But I can't be somebody different if I say I was never that person. So I love that so much. I had to stop and read that all to my girlfriend, and she's just looking at me what are you talking about? I'm talking about the cognitive realm and stuff, trying to explain what's going on here. And I just had to read it. I got super emotional. It just really hits home. And as someone who's dealt with alcohol abuse in the past for myself, I find Dalinar and Tef's stories to be very accurate. I find them to be very emotionally poignant, right? I just love it. I love the message from that. Basically just saying hey, you cannot have my pain. You cannot take away a part of who I am, and basically do a emotional lobotomy on me so that I can become this tool for you. I get to keep all of my pain, and then I get to grow from it. That's how growth works. That alone makes me say this is the best book. I feel this is kind of where Brandon was trying to get to. Because he had Dalinar planned for 20 something years. You can just tell there's so much passion written into those, and every single chapter has some kind of emotional through line that just fucking hits home, and I can't explain it enough. So then you also get great stuff with Szeth, trying to figure out what guiding force to find. He ends up choosing Dalinar. The whole Renarin and Jasnah thing, where she decides not to kill him, which, first of all, Jasnah, goddamn Jasnah. So earlier in a meeting with Kaladin, Jasnah is let's just kill all the heralds. And I'm that makes sense, but she is pragmatic as fuck. She doesn't pull punches. She is just this is what needs to happen. I'm fucking doing it. Oh, Renarin, you have a corrupted spren of odium, and you've been seeing the future? That's okay. And she whips out the fucking shardblade to fucking axe her cousin. What the fuck? Jasnah is not fucking playing, but I'm so happy she did not kill Renarin. And then I also just want to say about Jasnah. Her just casually, first of all, she knows the magic system in a way you remember in Half-Blood Prince when Dumbledore is cutting his hand and rubbing it on the wall of the cave and all this stuff when they're trying to get into the cave. And it's secrets of magic. It's the corners of magic, the things that nobody else would think of. They're very subtle. That's how I think of Jasnah in this battle. controlling magic on a level, on a depth of knowledge that was just so cool. At one point, a fuse is like flying down. She's like talking to her mother, and she like steps out of the way. Soul casts him covered in oil, and then just like flicks a spark, and he just goes flying off on fire. Just stuff like that. Like, she was so in control. Her combat, like soul casting as combat, I'm gonna do it. Soul casting as combat is the best magic system for combat in the Cosmere. It's better than Allomancy. Don't at me. At least when Jasnah's doing it. I want to talk about Lift real quick. Here's the thing with Sanderson's funny characters. It's really hit or miss, and it really depends on like how he's doing it. Lift talking about Dalinar's butt and things like that, just basically being immature for no reason, is not very funny. But her in the middle of the battle, kind of like poking fun at people to kind of help lift their spirits, I do like. Hey, lift their spirits. You have to like Lift when she's fucking there for Szeth. She grabs him to like share Nightblood, basically eating him to keep him alive. Like, how can you not like Lift? I get that she's a little annoying, but look at her fucking character. She's amazing. All right, and I've gone all over the place here. I'm going to leave some people out. I'm sorry. There's just so much going on in this book, but I want to just throw out some random thoughts or thoughts and feelings and projections and stuff like that. This is a big pet peeve of mine. I said in another video I didn't like the ending battle of Words of Radiance and Oathbringer. That's not accurate. I need to clarify that. I don't like monologuing in the battle scenes. It's especially bad whenever it's with Kaladin. I don't know why. And it's not even Kaladin really that's doing the worst part of it. It's usually his enemy, like Szeth or Amaram here. This is a life and death battle. Didn't you tell me you'd given up that grief? Yes, I'm beyond guilt. Then why do you still hurt? Amaram flinched. Murderer, Kaladin said. You've switched sides to find peace, Amaram. But you won't ever have it. He'll never give it to you. Everything I've done for Alethkar. I'm a patriot. If that is true, why do you still hurt? First of all, how does Kaladin know that Amaram hurts? I made you. I forged you. Kaladin floated downward toward him. 10 spears go to battle, he whispered, and 9 shatter. Did that war forge the one that remained? No, Amaram. All the war did was identify the spear that would not break. That is the only thing that bothers me in these fight scenes. Like, it's okay to have a little bit of back and forth, like insults or stuff like that, but the full-on like speeches, it's so cliche. I'm sorry. Like, it's just not for me. The monologuing. If you like the monologuing, this is not an attack on you. That's really like when I say I don't like the battle, I think I'm like just remembering something I really didn't like as a portion. The battle itself, the whole thing, all the characters, they're all great. I just cannot stand the monologuing. That's it. So just to kind of wrap up and conclude, like I said, I think this has the best balance of character arcs and stories just going on here. It's just such a good book. And getting those connections from Warbreaker and Elantris and things, now that I've read those, just really helped pull me through those slower parts. Like Shadesmar was so much cooler now. So that's basically all my thoughts right now. I'm sure I left some stuff out, but hey, thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe if you want to get more content, and like the video if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time, and y'all have a great day. See ya.